Welcome to a quiet corner of the high mountains where the air is thin and cool and the night carries a soft scent of resin. Imagine yourself stepping carefully across pale, powdery stone under a sky that seems close enough to touch. Around you stand bristlecone pines, their trunks ridged and twisted like slow rivers of wood. They have waded through so many dawns and so many winters that time itself feels unhurried, as if it learned patience here among their roots. If this gentle journey helps you unwind, you can like and subscribe for more soft, sleepy science. And there's a playlist in the description you can let play while you drift. What made you click? Title, thumbnail, or topic? You find yourself in the White Mountains or the Great Basin? Places where sound is carried a long way by the dry air and then fades into stillness. The ground crunches like chalk beneath your shoes because it is dolomite, bright and pale, reflecting sunlight by day and releasing that stored warmth slowly after dusk. That stone is one reason the bristlecone pines live so long. It is poor in nutrients, unfriendly to quick growth, and discouraging to many plants. The bristlecone thrives where others do not, simply because it asks for so little. This quiet, sparse landscape becomes a sanctuary of slowness, a space where a tree can take its time. Imagine the bark beneath your fingertips, warm from the day and smooth where wind has polished it, rough where ridges lift and twist. In some places, the bark stops and pale wood continues, a weathered spine stretching into the air. The living tissue of a bristlecone pine often narrows to a ribbon on one side of the trunk. The rest can be dead wood, still standing like a memory preserved in cedar-like perfume and stone-hard fibers. The tree focuses its life where it counts most, sending water and sugars through that slender corridor to a cluster of needles that can outlast decades. Each needle is narrow and deep green, held in bunches of 5, and the cones carry small bristles that give the tree its name. Even the cones take their time, maturing over 2 summers before releasing their winged seeds to the wind. The gentle rhythm continues as seasons turn. Winter arrives with diamond-dry snow that collects in hollows and melts under a weak sun. Spring is brief and precise. The cambium, a thin layer beneath the bark, wakes and begins to build a new ring of xylem. When the air is warm enough and the soil moisture returns, even for a short period, the tree lays down cells with a measured pace. In a generous year, the ring is wider, but generosity here is subtle. In a difficult year, the ring is a whisper, so slender that it hides in the wood until a patient hand reads it. This is how the bristlecone counts time, not in hours, but in careful lines. Researchers have learned to read these rings like a slow, detailed diary that stretches across millennia. Imagine a scientist in a soft jacket at dawn, turning an increment borer with calm, deliberate motions. The tool is slender and leaves only a small channel through the bark. A pencil-thin core slides out, a fossil of memories arranged as alternating light and dark bands. The sample is wrapped and labeled, and the tree continues its day as if nothing happened. Back in a quiet lab, the rings from many trees and many ages are aligned, each pattern of narrow and wide years matching like fingerprints. In this way, a living tree becomes a bridge to a fallen one, and then to another older still. And the timeline extends backward beyond human stories and into the end of the ice's last retreat. The bristlecone's calm endurance has helped calibrate the clocks of radiocarbon dating, anchoring bits of ancient charcoal and timber to specific years. Time becomes a long, continuous thread that carries you gently along. Now, imagine the pace of life up here. The wind arrives as a steady hush, not a roar, because the branches are sparse and flexible. The sun is strong at this altitude. You feel it on your cheeks even when the air is cool. On the brightest afternoons, the pale soil sends light back toward the needles, yet the tree barely grows. Its wood is dense, rich with resin, and resistant to decay. When a branch dies, the dry air and the tree's own chemistry preserve it for centuries. Some bristlecones stand partly alive, partly ghost, a living flame along one edge and sculpted remains facing the wind. This is not a tragedy, but a strategy, a way to keep going by letting go of what is too costly to maintain. The gentle lesson here is that survival can be spacious, a careful choosing of where to invest energy, a slow art of staying. You might breathe in and notice a hint of pine, a sweetness edged with something mineral. The needles whisper against one another when a breeze passes through. On the ground, there are dark cones lodged between white stones, their scales dry and neat, and perhaps some grains of orange lichen painted across the wood. Pollination happens through the air in late spring. Seeds, when ready, ride currents to small pockets of soil. Many will find nothing. A few will settle in a protected crack where meltwater trickles after a storm and the sun passes in a kinder arc. The seedling that appears is a slim green thread. It lifts itself by degrees, and what we think of as a year becomes for it a small adjustment, a new ring, a tiny reach toward the next season. Some bristlecone pines, like the long-lived Pinus longaiva, have stood for nearly 5,000 years. Their exact locations are kept quiet to protect them, and that quietness matches their nature. Over such spans, entire valleys have changed and changed again, while the tree waited and listened to the slow language of climate. Cool centuries brought measured growth. Warmer, drier periods tightened the rings. Storms came and went. Lightning etched scars. Through it all, the tree's narrow lifeline continued to stitch season to season. To stand here, even in imagination, is to experience a calm adjustment of scale. Your own day becomes just one brushstroke of light across wood that has watched countless moons. How sleepy are you on a scale of 1-10? The gentle rhythm continues as evening deepens. Picture how the bristlecone manages water. In this thin air, water leaves leaves easily, so the needles are built to hold it back, with waxy layers and small pores that open sparingly. Photosynthesis, the quiet work of turning sunlight into sugar, happens in brief windows when temperature and moisture align. During cold nights, the tree rests, its chemistry slowing to a quiet hum. In late summer, when the soil dries, the cambium eases off, and the year's ring is finished, sealed against the coming cold. Next spring, if the snow comes and the melt lingers under the roots, another ring begins, placed right next to the last one, like a thin page in a lightless book. You can imagine walking along a ridge where the view spreads in every direction. The horizon looks far yet very close under a bowl of deep blue. The bristlecones stand with ample space between them, This distance reduces competition and lowers the chance that fire will move swiftly from one to another. Fire is rare up here because there is little to burn and moisture is sparse, though in some ages flames have passed through and the marks remain as dark seams. The tree's own durability, its dense wood and its careful growth, make it resistant to many of the forces that undo forests elsewhere. Even fungi find the wood difficult to break down. When a branch falls, it lingers on the ground as if time itself has settled beside it for a long rest. If you kneel, you might see between stones small signs of life that share this patient world. Tiny insects tuck themselves into the cracks of bark. A bird crosses overhead and is gone. There is not much shade, and the sky feels generous